There is a sentence you tell yourself 100 times a day. You didn't choose it. Somebody handed it to you years ago and you've been repeating it ever since without ever actually hearing it. Sourena ran the same sentence for years. Sorena's was 5 words long. It felt completely reasonable every time he said it, and it cost him most of his 20s. Today, I'm going to show you how to catch yours, how Sourena caught his, and the one-word swap that takes it apart. These videos are a collaboration. Sourena, who has cerebral palsy, develops the written material, and I present it on camera.
I have a question for you. Who's telling your story? Sourena, because in my video, are you the main character in your life? Or are you just a side character? What do I mean this? Well, stay tuned.
So we're going to talk about who is actually telling your story, because those of us that are truly telling our own story are much more likely to succeed than when we become an extra or a side character or a supporting role in the story of our own lives. And that's what you're going to learn in these upcoming videos.
Take it away, Chris.
I'll take it away. Sourena has spent 20 plus years writing and speaking and coaching about mindset. He's been in a wheelchair his entire life with cerebral palsy. So this isn't theory for Sourena. He had to rewrite on himself before he ever taught it to anybody else. So again, while some people may talk about these things as theory and ideas, Sourena's actually been there, right? He's been through all of this. So everything he shares with you are things he actually did to deal with his challenges to accomplish his goals. So throughout these videos, you're going to get the question that quietly runs your life, why acceptance has to come before any rewrite, and the 24-hour exercise that starts the change. And stick around for point 4, because that's the one that actually broke the loop for Sourena. It's not one you'd expect, and it has nothing to do with positive thinking. So let's start on the sentence itself. Odds are, yours is a question. The question you ask yourself 100 times a day. Most self-limiting narratives are not statements, they're questions, which is why they slip past you, right? The question is almost always some version of, why does it have to be this way, right? Why does it have to be this way? It feels reasonable every time you say it, and that's exactly what tends to make it invisible. There's an everyday inventory, right, of these questions. Why does my boss have to be like that? Why are my kids misbehaving? Why doesn't the guy who just cut me off in traffic learn how to drive better? Why are politics so nasty? Why are there no opportunities for someone like me? So Sourena has a challenge for you. Today, catch yourself asking, why does it have to be this way? Don't worry about fixing it. Don't even try. Just notice how many times that shows up. Now, when Sourena says that is a question that comes from a victim mindset, and he knows exactly how that lands. So I'll define what Sourena actually means by a victim mindset, because most people tend to get this wrong. Victim mindset is a default setting. It's not a character flaw, right? Sourena's definition is refusing to take responsibility for your life while blaming outside factors for your circumstances, your happiness, and your sanity. Right? Basically, blaming other things for why you are where you are. Right? It's not a weakness. It's not laziness. It's a default setting that runs in the background until somebody changes it. Right? And defaults do not announce themselves, which is why this can run for decades, like it did for Sourena in his 20s. Sourena's own turn at 20. Right? Sourena's parents raised him, and he was in a wheelchair. And when he was young, he didn't feel that different. Right? It just took a little extra effort, but he could still go to Disneyland or San Francisco or go camping or go to the park, go on the swings. His parents just had to help him more than the other kids needed help with them from their parents, right? But then in his mid-teens, he started to question, am I ever going to date? Am I ever going to get a job? Would I ever have kids? You know, it felt fleeting at first, and then in the 20s, it became an obsession. And Sourena had no answers. He got frustrated, and that frustration turned into anger, and eventually the anger stopped being something he felt and became who he was. So that's when he talks about wasting his 20s. He was just angry and bitter at these circumstances. So Sourena wants to challenge you to stop asking whether you're a victim and instead ask, what am I currently blaming? And what would I have to own to stop it? Right? So here's what nobody tells you about rewriting a story like that. You can't skip straight to the new version, right? There's a step in between, and skipping it is why most people's mindset work doesn't stick. Acceptance comes before the rewrite. Without acceptance, you're working from a distorted picture of your own situation. And acceptance is not approval. It doesn't mean you like something. It's not even saying this is fine or this is fair. It's just accepting that it is what it is, right? That's the actual starting position. So let's go on from there. When Sourena was in community college, he decided or settled that he could never move out of his parents' house. He needed daily help, and there was no way he could ask another person for the help his parents gave him, right? With feeding him or helping him shower or using the restroom. But he hadn't accepted the situation. He sentenced it. He gave himself a lifetime sentence at the time, right? Real acceptance means saying out loud, I need daily assistance, because that's true. Now what's actually possibly from there? So Sourena's challenge to you, write down the hard facts of a situation in one flat sentence with no judgment attached. What are the things that are challenging you, holding you back? That sentence is your real starting line, which brings us to point 4, the one that Sourena promised you, and it's a single word. Swap why for how. Why keeps you in the courtroom arguing your case. How puts you in the workshop building something special. How does not require you to pretend the hard parts aren't hard, right? It doesn't ignore them, right? It's just part of acceptance, but it points your mind at the only part that you can actually touch and do something with. The moment Sourena swapped those words from why to how, his entire life changed, right? It didn't have to be why is it this way? It's how can I deal with it because it is this way? And then the practical rewrites across ordinary complaints, nervous speaking, practice speaking, no knack for cooking or writing, taking a class, learn the process, watch the videos, because a knack usually is just reps somebody else already put in, right? Difficult boss becomes less adversarial. Learn what you can. And if it's truly toxic, start looking around for something else. That's an action you can take, right? You're not worried about why the boss is like this, but how do I deal with this situation the best way for me? The driver that cut you off isn't plotting. It's not about why did he do this. He's just bad at driving, and in your life it lasted for 10 seconds. So how can I just get over this quickly? And the current one, nervous about AI, rewrite it to let me learn it and see how it can improve my life instead of being something that I'm afraid of. So Sourena's challenge to you is to take your loudest why question and physically write the how version underneath it. Same situation, different approach. Now some of you are thinking, but Sourena, my complaint is actually true. My boss really is difficult. And you're right. So let's talk about it, because the point is the one that costs people the most. True doesn't mean it deserves your attention. Something can be technically true, but it doesn't deserve your focus, your emotion, your energy, your attention, right? Because attention is a limited resource. We only have so much of it, and there are so many things that are trying to take that attention from us. And the why loop spends all of it on what is wrong, and that doesn't move us forward. What you put into your life is what you get out of it. When Sourena started college, he was consumed by everything his disability took away from him. And every item on that list was absolutely true. And here's the real cost, the one he didn't see at the time, but rewrote his mindset and his narrative to see that. There was no energy, no time, no bandwidth left over to actually improve the situation. When he was just focused on all of those negative things and that was getting his attention, again, he didn't have any ability to focus on what could actually change it. And that narrative wasn't just making him miserable, it was eating the exact resources he needed to change anything at all. So Sourena's challenge to you, ask one question about every complaint you carry. Is this improving my life, or is it simply occupying my life? So let's put this all in one place, because it comes down to 3 moves. The takeaway, plain and simple, you built a wall out of sentences, which means you can take them down the exact same way. 3 moves. 1, catch the sentence, because you can't change what you can't hear. 2, swap the question from why does it have to be this way to how can I make this happen? And 3, guard your attention, because technically true is still not the same and does not deserve your focus, right? And Sourena wants to be honest with you about the timeline. The narrative doesn't flip in one dramatic moment. It's not that light bulb that you see in cartoons, right? It takes time, right? Sourena asked how, and then he asked again the next day, and then a few thousand times after that. A rewrite isn't a revelation. It's a repetition that replaces another repetition. So Sourena has a 24-hour assignment for you. Catch one sentence, just one. Write it down word for word, exactly the way it sounds in your head, and then write the how version underneath that. Then come down to the comments and tell Sourena the sentence that you caught. Sourena reads these. He'll tell you right now, the ones people post are more universal than you think. You're not alone. You'll find yourself in somebody else's. If this hit home, subscribe. If you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, and I'm sure that you did, make sure you like it, share it, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel.